Hey everybody, it's Tech Tuesday. I'm here. I'm not alone today.
Camping out with Rick.
I'm here with Pete Olivia. We'll be right back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rick Uzzi, VP Marketing here at Z-Corm, and we've got Pete Olivia, our VP of Systems and Software Development. And today, I'm actually here with somebody. I'm not alone in my little sheltering-place environment. We've both been pretty well, probably social distanced from other people, so maybe we're okay. And
I didn't have any friends, so it was easy for me.
And I'll just sanitize the house after you leave, and we'll be good. So it'll be no problem at all. So anyway, we wanted to do this together today because we have a new update to our TruVizion software. It's a fairly significant update on fiber.
Yeah.
So
addition, yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to just give us a preliminary, or do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, we could just talk about it. Yeah. Traditionally, TruVizion had for a DOCSIS perspective, had a nice overview screen for the CMTS where you could see at a high level where everything was. It kind of summarizes a lot of the alerts and alarms and conditions inside your plant. And from there you'd start there and then drill into individual devices or see history.
Yeah, you could start with individual. Yeah.
And we didn't have some of those features for the fiber side of the house. So we did have some very basic reporting, like who's online or offline, but we didn't have any kind of overview. And a couple of years ago, it started with a whiteboard session, right? It was an idea. Started whiteboarding. Oh, what can we gather? Because we were working with fiber, but TruVizion hadn't been really deep on the fiber space. So we started whiteboarding various things we can have, and then about a year ago, probably about 9 months ago, we started development on this and started adding all the little pieces to do those overviews and get really good data for operators that have fiber plants, telcos or traditional cable companies that maybe move into fiber or DOCSIS or adding it on as in greenfield situations. And rather than buy other tools, I got to buy another tool, I got to train people on another tool, I got to do all this other stuff. We started integrating fiber features into TruVizion or CentraVision.
So so you have one platform, and if you're doing both, so some are just fiber only, but if you're doing both, if you're doing DOCSIS and fiber, and a lot of cable operators now are doing some fiber to the home in areas where maybe it's greenfield, and they're looking at that. So this is a way you can have both diagnostics in one tool. It makes it a lot easier for your staff. So let's take a quick look.
And on top of that, we don't care. We don't care which I don't care if it's Calyx or iTrain or whatever.
Yeah.
So looking at the screen, traditionally, this is what you had for a CMTS overview screen. You come in and do it. Same type of concept. Does our arrow work? Yeah, you see it okay.
What you can't see.
Do your magic click away, click back, and get your arrow back?
Let me see here. I'll make sure it's working. Hold on.
There you go. That way you can see where I'm going.
Now
there we go.
Okay.
Got our magic cursor.
Yeah.
So what I was doing was traditionally you had all your CMTS. So here, well, now next to it, right, you can filter on DOCSIS or fiber to the home if you want. You can see them side by side, that you have your CMTSs and here it happens to be a Calyx E7 shelf, right? And when you click on fiber FTTx, fiber to the X, fiber to the whatever, it will come in here and pull up the screens and show you the overview of what's going on in your fiber plant, not just a list.
Sure. And before you go any further, actually, if you could, so I know that fiber diagnostics, there's a lot of DOCSIS, maybe more DOCSIS tools out there, but maybe on the fiber side, a lot of times what operators were limited to were the EMS, the element management system, to be able maybe to get their diagnostics. And it's not really the best system, I think, to go in and do that, right?
Yeah, it does have information in it and relevant and whatnot. It just sometimes become cumbersome if you've ever worked on them. You got to click and then click and then click and then click.
Yeah.
And just navigating around sometimes to get to the various things takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of it. It was really a everything system, like provisioning and configuration, monitoring.
And I guess that's another issue, is that if you give somebody access to that, it's not a call center tool. So if you gave somebody access to it, they could maybe go in and make changes and mess things
Yeah,
up.
or there's just a lot on the screen to know where to go, right?
Yeah, right,
I mean, CSR, who may be more relationship oriented and helping be customer service, may not be as technical. They have technical skills, but may not be as technical. Just want to get to the core of what the problem is and not have to. Oh, where is the? You have a lot of options in the systems.
Yeah. And this is not the screen that a CSR might use. This is more of a. I just realized we're not seeing the same thing on here. So hold on. Can I go back again? I don't know why I was doing that. There we go. Okay. All right. So that's all right.
So I'll be back the next 2 weeks when we redo the video again.
Yeah. So this is not a CSR screen. This is more for maybe not personnel to look at the overall what's going on in the fiber plant.
Right.
Yeah.
And just real quick, what we were talking about was downstream statistics. You get your optical receive, all your video service, your voice service, your data. And on the upstream side, you have your upstream transmit, the receive at the OLT, and totals for all the devices. So just in case we were talking but didn't have a visual.
Yeah.
So you can't stop all ringing.
It's funny. The phone has never rung before in the background here. It's ringing because Pete's here. It's like,
it must be that pizza I ordered.
At
the door.
All right.
Anyway, sorry, I digressed. Right. So your upstream, downstream statistics are up top. For each PON that's on the system, you can see the status. Is it enabled? Is it disabled? What's its temperature? Is it running hot? Is it transmitting real hot? We have that information on there, so you can see. Here's one that isn't in use. Why? You can see if it's offline if it's system disabled for some reason. And something that's also difficult to get on some of the management systems are utilization. Right. So for all the active PON ports on the system, we actually track usage. We default to percentage because most people want to know how full is my PON. But there's also a value here you could click. So for each active PON port, we sort it by obviously highest usage value. They're pretty good. It's not a lot. It's not a huge plant. There's only 22 ONTs on this. And you could click through and see users and whatnot. We'll see what we get with that. The bottom left was was our first extension. Originally, we had just a list of devices, right? So just like you do in your DOCSIS plant in TruVision, we have a status panel for ONTs. Are they online? Are they offline? Are they attempting to come online? Are they degraded for whatever reason? Is OLT reporting that it's got some condition that's non-service affecting, but it's not ideal? Are there any unauthorized? And how many are in alarm? So traditionally on those management systems, all you get is a list of alarms. And if you have a lot of devices on there, it's just a long list of of consciousness just on the screen. It's really hard to narrow down what's going on. And what we try to do on this screen is give some more intelligence, right? With some artificial intelligence in here. You'll be an alarm, but that's great. I have to go look and see what the alarm. Here I'm telling you it's receive. Here I'm telling you it's video. Here I'm telling you you got a data problem. Here I'm telling you it's an upstream receive. So while we do give you a way to get to the alarms and look and see and get the devices that have alarms, we're actually giving you the logic on the screen to be able to see what it is and pinpoint what it is. And is it on a specific PON? Is it a concentration or is it all over the place? A lot of times with PON, it's just you have dirty fiber somewhere, right? And if you clean the fiber, a lot of things clear up. And so this helps you see real quickly, is there any aggregation of problems? Another thing that you'll have in a PON plant is what we're calling a performance panel. Is there's various errors that can happen in transmission, whether it's upstream BIP errors or downstream, or your gem, your encapsulation, your gem errors, or you're having burst problems that tried to burst and failed. And so this report, they're clean. They don't have anybody that's having a problem. You'd have a count of devices that all these are clickable drill-ins down to a list. So for example, if I was to click here and let's look at all the things that came up on the downstream side, what it does, it goes in and it'll generate a list of all the devices that have some condition right now and display them on the screen. So give us a second. I guess I gotta grab this data. Well, it's probably our internet. Remember we were having problems with streaming and connecting, so it's having its time loading. So what it'll do is normally it's a lot quicker than this. It'll list out all the devices that have a problem and color code the problems that are in there, as they say that, right?
Yeah.
It's funny when you do this stuff beforehand in practice, no issues, no phones ring.
Murphy's Law.
Yeah. No screen issues.
Yeah. Let's see if you can go back, because it could be the internet.
Let me try it again. Let me see.
Try another one.
Let me refresh the screen. Maybe it just needs to be refreshed. Yeah, it's thinking. It's responding. So I happen to click through to status. When you click through, you'll get a list of various customers and information. From a status perspective, you can filter by all these, and that's what happens when you do it. I want to click around, but I'm worried that we're not going to get any good data. We can try it and see what we get now. Yeah, like now it's going to respond, right? So let's see. Is it going to behave for me? Okay, so there you go. I don't know what was going on there with our connection. So you click through on the statistics, the numbers, and it lists who they are. They don't have any customer information on these, so we're kind of obfuscating the people. But you can see real quick, red, yellow is a problem. Yellow meaning you're in a warning. Red meaning, hey, we got a problem. Like, for example, this guy came up. He's got upstream receive, downstream receive. There's stuff going on with his RF port. He's in half duplex mode, you see, or he's not getting full speed. And so you can click on it and pull them up and see all the metrics that are there. And that's what's going on is we summarize all these yellows that were all over. We summarize and roll up so that you can see who they are. Yeah. And that's how we found this guy. And we can get into the ONT screen next time. But all those click-throughs do this.
Yeah, and I was going to show
and bring that to
I was going to show we just learned at this, but let's see, I keep hitting the wrong button there. Let's see. Yeah, like this is an example of that screen where I've just got some fake customer data in there from our own location. So normally you'll see a device, a picture of the device on that. You can see the address, and then if you click on the map, you can drill in on the map and see devices around it, so you can get an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, and I guess our intent was the next time we could go to the kind of the drill in and go through that, because we do have some history and alerting and monitoring.
Yeah. And you know what I forgot? I forgot to tell the kid. I usually tell the kids not to stream anything while I'm doing this. So
I mean, it is summer.
It is summer. I forgot to tell. Yeah, and they're not doing school now, so who knows? There's probably Disney Channel going on.
Similar problems at my house. They love me.
Yeah. So what else? So is there anything else?
Yeah. So all these. The net is before you just get a list of modems. Now it's giving you TruVision now presents you with high level of where all the problems are. You click through, it gives you a list of who they are. You can see quickly, who your customers are and who what your plan of attack is.
And then from this screen, we can't do it on this one because there are no customer addresses associated with this particular group of customers.
Yeah, you could go to the map if you want. It would map them, but there's no addresses on this one. It would. If you click the map, it would put everybody on the map, but because there's no addresses, they're not on there. But yes, you could definitely do that and then zoom in. And
so I guess it gives them an idea of, if they're looking at it geographically, if they have some issues in a particular area, they can see those.
Yeah. And so these top two panels kind of go to that same reporting list, just focusing it. When you click on a particular section, it sorts by that. So when you go to that screen, it sorts by voice or video. If I click on that. This is the 3 video guys that are having a problem. I would just get the list of 3 and sort that whole list by video. Another thing that's in there is not only can you see PON bandwidth, but you can click on the bar and it will pull up the list of all the subscribers that have,
how much they're using.
Yeah, their usage, and you can sort based on, who's my worst guy, right? And you can see them over time. Do
last 7 days,
previous 7 days, and it's just I don't have a name, so it's just putting the ONT ID.
Yeah.
It's slot shelf port ONT ID 10. If it was customer, you'd have Bob Smith there, and you can see Bob Smith, what he's been doing over time, and you can do that on any of them. You could pick a different port if you want and go from there. But a lot of times you're like, hey, what's going on? Who's using all my upstream bandwidth? And you click through and it'll give me the list of who they are.
And on the screen, like the CMTS screen, you're basically showing worst to best, right?
Well,
if you're looking at them.
It gives me the list, and then
Well, I mean, actually, I'm at the OLT screen, but yeah.
Yeah. You're talking about back here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this gives me most usage.
Most use, yeah.
Worst to best is the idea.
And I guess it's the same on top too.
Yeah. Well, these are. It depends on what you did previously. Like it kind of remembers. Like if you sort by video, and some of these places it remembers what you did last time.
Okay.
It's kind of a generic list right now. You get your total line at the top, and then depends on what you want to sort by.
Yeah.
We also, underneath the hood, you have a performance report. I don't have anybody that's having a problem, but if I had numbers, it would show name, address, city, right? Mm-hmm. Who's, it would give their latest count of errors, and then you'd have a clickable name over here to the left.
Okay.
So this overview screen gives you all kinds of information about, where do I go to find problems? What's the general health of my fiber plant, as opposed to just trying to go through alarms and click around and guess. This will give you, and I brought that up when we turned somebody on. We clicked through, and I'd gone to data, and some of their customers were gig service. Look, this guy's half duplex. This guy's not getting service.
Yeah,
he's getting collisions. So I pointed that out, and they didn't even know it.
Oh yeah.
And then they could go and address those problems. So, like I said, this has been something in the making for a really long time. Really powerful, high-level telemetry diagnostic metrics for fiber. And all the fiber shows as we add them in will start rolling into this. The ones that we have right now roll into this.
Yep.
And I don't know, what else can I say?
Well, we got a couple of questions.
Okay.
Susan Daniel, Horizon Cable, was telling me, I don't think we're seeing your screen again. So that may be when when I was having a problem and it was just stuck, or it may be when we were having a bandwidth problem. I don't know. But hopefully you can see it now, Susan. Brian Roche, how are the thresholds determined? For example, Calix warns at different thresholds than TruVision is warning.
Right. So it's a great question, because we're actually working on that right now. Today we have a bunch of generic metrics that we pulled based on different vendors and whatnot, and made kind of like a standard. Unfortunately, in the fiber realm, there isn't a DOCSIS set standard for everything, and each operator has minor differences. So we kind of had to live on the edge. Well, for AdTran it was here, but for Calix it was there. So we kind of lived on the edge. What we're adding in the next release that we're actually working on right now is kind of like you had your metrics that you could do your alert thresholds for modems. There's going to be an ONT panel here per shelf that you'll be able to tweak and adjust to what you want. We kind of picked some generic metrics for these alert thresholds, and that's so true. The challenge is across different vendors they had different numbers. Where do we pick? And it felt like 17 was a warn for everybody, kind of generally.
Right. Okay.
And so, but it's really kind of vendor specific, so it makes it hard, especially with some ONTs even run a lot hotter than others. So it's one of those things where we're going to let the operators have control of those. We're going to put the defaults that are in there, and then you can set the sliders or the levels and thresholds that you want that trigger for your chassis.
Great.
And that'll be coming out in the next release. It's actually something we're working on right now.
And that is a challenge with fiber versus cable, because you've got DOCSIS and there's standards, and everybody writes to those standards, so it's a lot easier. You get those MIBs, and it's a lot easier to understand what's going on. Whereas here, you are having to
It's a different
go
world.
out. Yeah, have to go out to the different.
And they're all different. Some of the stuff comes from Netcom, some of it comes from CLI, some of it comes from SNMP. The fiber realm to get good telemetry across platforms is definitely a challenge in and of itself. And so those are the battles we face.
Yeah. Okay.
But that was a great question.
Yeah. All right. I don't see any other questions. So thanks for joining us. Sorry about the little technical difficulty there. I really think it was.
They got a high score.
Huh?
They probably got a high score.
No, yeah. No, I don't think they're gaming. I think they're watching Disney, Netflix or something like that. But I think that was probably it, more than likely, because it seems to be responsive other than that.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us. If this video was helpful, you can always feel free to subscribe to our channel. Just click the little subscribe button, not the one right there that's moving, because that's just animation. So you go under the video, click the subscribe button.
Click the bell.
Ring the little bell, you get notified. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up, even though we had a little technical problem, because Pete's here. Not always, I've had...
Get to sleep in the guest room, right?
Yeah, sure.
I got to get out.
You got to get out. That's right. I don't know where you've been. I'm a little concerned sitting this close to you.
No, man. Nowhere. I told you I have friends.
Okay.
All
right.
And, if anybody has any things that they'd like us to cover around this topic, especially around TruVision, things they'd like to see, I would love to, put in the comments and we'll, address those things and talk about them and maybe add new features too.
Yeah, we're always updating the product. So if you have features like Pete said that you'd like to see, just let us know. You can, after this video is done, if you're watching the recording, just type something into the comment section on YouTube, and we'll get that as well that way. So, all right. Well, thanks for joining us, and I guess we'll come back and do in the near future one on the ONT screen.
Yeah, I mean we've covered. We'll do some drill-ins and look at ONT.
ONT is a great screen to look at an individual subscriber, so you can see the aggregate problems here, and then you can drill in and go to a subscriber level. Great tool for call center staff that are looking at helping subscribers. And again, if you've got both DOCSIS and TruVision, it all looks in a very similar interface. So thanks for joining us, and I will see you next week on Tech Tuesday. That'll be 3 o'clock Tuesday. See you then. Bye-bye.